you. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the EFDN STEM Network presentation. My name is Matt Mead from Sphero Inc., a US robotics company out of the US. And I'm really excited today to take you through this very interesting and new program we have for the EFDN network here around STEM education. So just a bit of background, really, and just to say that this is the first time I think an EFDN information is being presented by a partner, and I'm very excited to be able to do that because it's something we're very passionate about and helping clubs across Europe. But this has been a conversation that's been around for a while. The 12th EFDN Conference held at Chelsea Football Club in London was an idea with a roundtable around STEM education and how could European teams start to deliver programs in STEM education, so STEM being science, technology, engineering, and maths, and bring it to life for communities and schools through football. There was then some discussion around what best to do next, and we brought everyone back together at Stamford Bridge again in September 2019, just to start to share best practices and look at some of the examples of clubs around Europe and what they were doing in STEM education. Chelsea hosted the event and led the way with robot football and some of their programs as part of the Digital Blue program, which I think was definitely fair to say is an industry leader and something that clubs will look to follow suit and start to deliver their own leading programs. The initial idea is to bring people together from across Europe that want to develop this as a partnership between the clubs. How can teams work together to share best practice, to deliver programs in their community, and then grow this club, this network over time? So actually European football is viewed as a really powerful platform to get teams interested and communities engaged in STEM education. With any kind of new program, and especially with technology, there will require some kind of investment and economic commitment to this. So ideally with technology, there'll be some budget you guys have available to purchase equipment to get yourselves going. But the aim of this is to keep the investment down to a suitable amount that foundations are able to get activities, start the program and execute within their schools and get kids excited around STEM education. As well as the network develops, there'll be some funding opportunities, which EFDN are actively doing at the moment, and we'll try to grow those opportunities as the network grows, so more and more teams can get involved in this fantastic program and have funds to support their aims. So really, STEM education, why are we addressing this subject? As we know, and I think the last 8 months has really highlighted the importance and need for people to have skills in science, technology, engineering, and maths. The world has gone through a really unprecedented time, and we need the world in the 21st century to be innovators and thinkers and solve problems. Some of the biggest problems currently in society have been led by those with scientific backgrounds. We need to engage more people in this field. There's a benchmark now looking at young people around digital intelligence, and that digital intelligence is really, really important about how young people will be measured against the jobs of the future. We need to make sure kids are learning these skills at an early age, and I think football has a really powerful platform to do that, to get kids excited about STEM education and get them prepared for the jobs of the future. I read an article 2 weeks ago that there was 560,000 current computer science vacancies within North America alone, but only 43,000 graduates from higher education taking those jobs. This shows a huge gulf for over 500,000 jobs left unfilled because we don't have the workers, especially in North America, to fill those jobs, the same as in Europe. So now I think this is a really powerful time for football to stand up and say, we are going to prepare the future workforce, the leaders of tomorrow, and we're going to inspire them through fun and play and coding and robotics and all the great stuff we can do through STEM, but do it through the game of football. So just a bit of context for where EFDN are now. They are currently looking for applications of funding. Unfortunately, they missed out on an EU fund very closely, but as a result of that, they've learned from that experience, have now put 2 other applications in. So we're optimistic there'll be funds in the future to help teams get started with this. EFDN will continue over the whole duration of the network to keep teams informed and keep them ready with new opportunities, new programs and new funding. So this is not just a one-off program, this is something that will evolve over time. Turn of the year in late January 21, we look to hold a conference similar to this, a virtual conference where we can bring teams together who are interested in STEM education and actually have a really detailed and focused discussion around STEM and how to get you guys started. And for more information, EFDN have now launched the EFDN STEM Network website. So please, I would encourage people to go there, check it out, learn more information about the network and how to get started. So To grow this, we have organisations like Sphero, who I represent, who are going to help European football grow. We are the first official partner of the EFDN network, and we are pushing forward our new program called Sphero Sports as a way to get teams engaged in STEM learning. Over time, I think we'd look to encourage more partners to come just to enhance the offer and make the program as engaging as possible, because STEM is such a broad subject. Sphero have a great solution to engage lots of people and lots of learning, but we have so many other people I think could bring value across Europe from all the different teams and CSR partners you work with. So if you're interested in joining, please contact Lewis. His email is here in front of you. He's obviously on the platform, and feel free to reach out and get the conversation started. There will also be a roundtable tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. our time, so 10:30 a.m. Central European time. So please feel free to join if you haven't signed up already to have a more detailed conversation around the STEM network. So a bit of context around EFDN and now myself and who I am. So as I mentioned, Matt Mead from Sphero, but like many of you, I've come from a world of football. I spent the majority of my career in football. As you can see here, the logo for the MLS is old, which shows how long ago it was. I was working with the MLS coaching in North America. And that's where my real passion for football and helping young people started in 2006. I then came back to the UK and I lived locally near Brighton, and I was given a job working in the education department in 2006, 2007, turn of the year, just helping adults get engaged in education and using the football club to inspire them in qualifications around numeracy and literacy and employability skills. And for me, that was a shock because I had no idea football did this. I realized football worked in the community and it coached kids how to play football and got them healthy and active and worked with students with disabilities. Fantastic. But I had no idea there was this education piece, and I became really hooked and interested in that. During my 6.5, 7 years at Brighton Hove Albion, we helped the club grow and the foundation grow, and the club actually moved from the Wooddean Stadium to the Amex, the American Express Community Stadium, which is a fantastic arena, which they currently play at. And the programs evolved and became more detailed. And I started to get involved in programs around technology, working with Apple and Google. Then in 2013, I made the move up to London to head up the education department for Chelsea Foundation, which is a wonderful foundation doing some amazing work. And during my 6.5 years, I was able to build with a fantastic team around me, some really groundbreaking programs at Chelsea, where we looked at entrepreneurship and employability skills. We worked on sports development and working in primary schools to engage kids in literacy and numeracy and enterprise, again, using football. But the one that I was really passionate about personally was the development of the Digital Blue program, which I think is definitely an industry-leading program for Chelsea, and the area of STEM education and robotics and coding, and working with some major brands. As a result of that, we were part of the Sport and STEM Alliance, which was formed in 2017 in North America over at the San Francisco 49ers Stadium in Santa Clara. As a result of that, we forged some really powerful relationships and friendships with some big organizations, as you can see on the screen. And as a result, we work with all these partners, whether it be in Silicon Valley, Las Vegas, Washington, London, New York. We delivered programs to get kids excited around STEM education. And we used Chelsea and our partners and the brands to really break down what STEM meant and give its context back to sport and how kids could start to pursue these skills by using sport as a vehicle. As a result of that, I was able to speak at a number of EFDN conferences over the years, Paris being the first, where I was able to showcase the great work we were doing at the time at Chelsea around robot football. And that was something that definitely caught the attention and the eyes of many people in the audience. We obviously, as I mentioned earlier, had the conference at Chelsea, which is a great example, again, to showcase how we're using football and STEM education to inspire kids. And then last year, I got to lead a roundtable again around STEM education at Barcelona. So you can see there's a bit of a pattern here in the theme that STEM has been important to EFDN and to the members. And it's a great time now to actually push this forward and start to build something that clubs can really get stuck into. Here's an example of one of the actual partnerships we did with the wonderful team over at Feyenoord Foundation. We're really proud to be at the launch of their community hub in South Rotterdam. We helped work with, I think, approximately 60 kids from the local area in Rotterdam, and we got them hands-on coding with Sphero on Chelsea's robot football program. Language was an issue to a degree because most of the kids didn't speak English, but I think the appeal of football, Feyenoord, robots, an iPad, a football mat, got kids excited, and it wasn't difficult then to get them going on this program for them to spend a few hours learning about coding, learning about programming, and basically having their best day at school. So here I am now with Sphero. Sphero is an amazing robotics company based in Boulder, Colorado, and has a rich history in robotics, in education, but also consumer and working with brands. So any Star Wars fans there will see that Sphero actually had a really great relationship with the Disney company many years ago and created the BB-8 for the movie, which was the #1 selling Star Wars product and toy with over 1 million units sold, really helped grow the company. But in recent years, the company has really recognized the importance of education and helping schools and districts work on STEM education and using our products to get them excited to become the creators of tomorrow and invent through play and robotics. So that's when we launched earlier this year in the middle of a global pandemic, when sports stopped and education stopped and business stopped. We decided to launch a new program called Sphero Sports. Sphero Sports is really about connecting football, coding, and play, and giving kids an opportunity to develop these skills in an environment they feel comfortable and are excited to because it's football. As a company, we want to transform the way the classroom is run and the way kids learn. And at the heart of this is coding, STEAM education, which is the arts in addition to STEM, but ultimately through fun. Our mission really is to make cool products and cool robots that transform the way kids learn. The great thing about our products is, and Sphero Sports is part of the big family, is not only do they learn about technical skills that maybe relate to sports in Sphero Sports or generic coding, it prepares them for the confidence for the wider world. You know, we are developing thinkers who think critically, who are leaders, who collaborate, who problem solve. And these are the skills that any organization globally is looking for in the 21st century. We do this through fun and play. As I mentioned, we're based in Boulder, Colorado, which is a beautiful part of North America, just outside Denver, at the foot of the mountains, and it's definitely a place I'd recommend visiting. So here you can see some of the stats on the product. You know, our company, we are #1 globally for robotics. We have millions of teachers and students using our programs all over the world. And the great thing is we have an amazing team at Sphero HQ who are working on creating content for educators and teachers to use. But the great thing is we're also having the community of educators upload their own content onto our platform. So if you go onto Sphero EDU, you're going to find thousands and millions of hours worth of content just shared by a community of educators who believe in our product and want to share the best ways to use our platform and products. I'll be highlighting a sports related way, but by going into the app, you're going to learn so many ways from English and arts and history and literacy and numeracy through robotics to bring the education and classroom to life. So the data, as I mentioned earlier, doesn't look well in terms of the future workforce of STEM education, how not enough young people are being developed in school to pursue these careers and these higher education degrees. But I think football has a really amazing opportunity now to become a leader in this field and globally for sports, to stand up and say, we have a cool solution. We're going to get kids motivated about STEM education, and we're going to help the future world, and we're going to help these young kids become the leaders of tomorrow, but we're going to do it through a fun, engaging platform. So really, we want to make sure we do this because it's meaningful. We want kids to come away with hands-on experiences. We want them to come away learning something they're never going to forget. There's lots of passive learning with STEM education, with computer systems, and it's kind of one-to-one with a screen. Our program is active, it's engaging. Students are learning as part of a team or in pairs. I think this is something that will really resonate with the classroom and get kids motivated. So Sphero Sports, what is this program? This is basically hands-on coding between football and STEAM learning. We want to develop those thinkers for tomorrow through coding and play. The great thing is you're going to find that when you bring students to your stadium and your community events, not always are they going to be football fans. I've been there myself at Brighton and Chelsea. You may bring a class of 30 kids in, 60 kids in. Majority will be attracted to the football stadium and what it brings, but some kids aren't interested. And we saw from my time at Chelsea that actually the kids who maybe are slightly more intelligent, who are more interested in the academics and maths and robotics, actually found this a fascinating program because all of a sudden they were hooked. But they were learning about football. They were learning about Chelsea at the time and probably thinking, actually, I quite like football. This is something different. I've never looked at it this way. So it's a great way for you to engage more young fans and students into the game. Basically, we're giving them a chance to play a game they already know and love, a lot of these kids, but they're playing with robots and an iPad. It's like their best day at school as if they're playing at home. As well as this gives us foundation staff who pursue this program probably the best start, as Chelsea found out, in terms of getting the confidence up in STEAM education. By getting your staff developed in this program, I feel you'll have a staff base who actually don't fear STEAM education anymore and want to pursue more programs. So Sphero Sports, we have this fantastic package that is built for foundations. We want to provide everything from the hardware to the software. We want to ensure that your staff are trained and they have support from Sphero to build a program and start to engage their community. As part of the package, we offer this really fantastic bulk power pack, which is 15 robots that just have Bluetooth connection to a programmable device, and off you go. There's 15 in a box, which means you can have 30 students at a time using these robots. We have this at Chelsea. Teams and organizations and schools are using it globally, and it's a fantastic product that gets great feedback. We then want to make sure there's purpose with these robots. So each package has 6 huge 3 meters by 2 meters football pitches with your team branding. So again, students become connected to the brand, they're connected to the sport, and they remember that first ever opportunity to learn about coding possibly. We will provide training for the employees and staff of your foundation. We've done this with many teams so far, and they found it's a really beneficial way for them to understand more about STEM and sport, understand our platform and why they're using the robots. That also includes individual study for 6 hours per member of staff. So you can tick the box of this being actually CPD for your employees as well. So not only are you able to offer a unique and groundbreaking program, possibly in your region or your country, you're also able to develop the staff and confidence of your staff in a subject they maybe didn't consider they'd ever do whilst working in football. Plus, we have activities all related to football. So students will learn about passing, dribbling, shooting, but go through the pathway of a professional football player, starting in the academy, up to first team, up to match day. These activities will get harder and harder, but the great thing is they're taking a kid on a journey as a football player, as well as also having national curriculum alignment. So the activities are meaningful and they actually relate to their education. We want to make sure these are fun and engaging. They are related to computer science and football fundamentals. It's kind of like coaching and STEM have come together to create these opportunities. There's no experience needed. This is a really nice plug and play turnkey opportunity for young people to be excited and get stuck in without any coding experience. The great thing is we have a ton of activities that you can use here, but once you develop the skills and knowledge, I'd encourage the invention and free play on the mat. You know, kids can recreate their favorite goal. They can use player cards. They can start to put little players on the mat. You can do whatever you want because you have the hardware, you have the robots, you have the knowledge. It's really up to the imagination then of the staff and the students. So the way everything's powered is through our app. And the great thing about our app, it engages students all the way from junior school all the way through to higher education, really. We have 3 different ways that we're running this program. You can use Draw, which is really good for early years or maybe kids with disabilities. Well, with the iPad or a programmable device, they can just use their finger to draw a shape, a pattern, numbers, letters. And when they push go, the robot will mimic that design. You can see all the data in the feedback from the accelerometer and gyroscope as well. So there's real tech data there, as well as a JavaScript they've written by just drawing a square with their finger. The intermediate level is block-based coding, and that's what you can see on the screen there, and that's how Sphero Sports is run. Again, this really gets kids to think critically about how to put information up, because coding is just another language. It's just sequential information that you have to get in the right order to perform a function. So kids start to see actually it's not as intimidating as they first thought, because when you hit the JavaScript button, you start to see actually how code is written out in JavaScript and the logic behind it. It's actually something that you can start to learn and develop. But then we have, for any pros out there, the actual JavaScript line if they want to write in code, which I don't think we'll see any students initially doing. But this is a really great platform for them to start to understand and debug their code and become confident in JavaScript. As I mentioned, professional learning, really, really critical. We will give your staff the training they need to be started. You know, for the EFDN network and Sphero to come together and say, this is a European program that we want to get staff upskilled across Europe. Again, I think it's a really positive message for European football and for foundations and for young people across the continent. So really, we want to make sure kids are thinking in skills that are so relevant today. They need to be problem solvers. Teaching computational thinking is really critical for young people to think how a computer thinks and then apply that through our program. We want, and I personally want to see sports foundations across the world become STEAM leaders. I would love there to be international recognition to say that the sport of football is becoming the leader in STEAM education and delivering it with thousands and millions of kids enjoying the subjects of STEAM. The great thing is we're developing technical skills, as I've mentioned, but I think the real valuable piece is some of the soft skills that are developed. You're looking at young people who are improving their confidence around communication and collaboration and teamwork. They have to work with their colleagues to look at some of the angles and debug some of the codes. There's constant engagement. They think about problem solving constantly. These soft skills are the ones that are, and resilience as well, sorry, because some of these activities can be quite tricky. So they have to really stick with it. They have to show patience and a mindset they can overcome this challenge and work it out and problem solve. These are all skills that I would look for in any employees coming to work for me, and I'm sure you would do too. This will also be a fun way to get more kids interested in STEAM education, like I mentioned, especially girls and minority groups. both groups are severely underrepresented in the tech sector. And again, if your team or football can be seen as a platform to get more girls and minority groups into this sector, I think it's fantastic. And at the heart of this, coding is basically numbers, it's maths. So we're getting kids to learn about maths, but through a really fun lens of robotics and coding. So how do you deliver it? This is a multifunctional program. You can run this as one-off taster days at your stadium. You can have match day events where you engage kids in pre-game entertainment, obviously once the world goes back to some sort of level of normality. You can run curriculum days where you do maybe an hour a week in schools. You can really do this however you want. There is a load of content, you'll have the knowledge, you'll have the resources. It's really down to how you want to use this. I would definitely encourage some kind of launch event to get kids excited, generate noise within your community, get schools aware of that actually you're now offering this program, and start to bring schools and eyeballs onto your program, and people are sort of realizing that you're doing something different, which I think is really important in these day and age now with what's happened recently. We need to stand out and be seen to be doing things differently. With your stadiums, you'll have corporate lounges or learning zones or foundation spaces that work fantastically to bring kids in. You have 15 robots, you have up to, with this package, you could have 30 students, but there's no reason why you couldn't have a small group of 5 or 10 and do an after school club for maybe gifted and talented students who really want to pursue a STEM field. You can run these at school events. You can take it on the road as long as the power pack has had some power and juice. The batteries will last for a couple of hours of continuous use, which is easily a full school day. You just need Bluetooth to connect the programmable device to our robots. You'll be able to take this on the road, take it around the stadium, take it into schools. The pack says 15 students, but 15 robots for 30 students. But again, you could run 30 sessions, students in the morning, maybe at a school or 2 schools, have a break at lunchtime and go to another school. It's kind of like coaching sessions. You can take a football bag of balls to a school and run sessions. You can do the same with Sphero Sports and our Power Pack. As long as you have the schools and some power, maybe just to give it a bit of juice at halftime, you'll be able to continue the learning and impact so many kids in a day or a week. And as you can see at the bottom, our app is compatible across all the major platforms. I'd encourage the tablet or iPad to be the preferred experience because of the fact this program is something that students get on their hands and knees, they get down close, they work things out with the protractor, they move around constantly and get engaged in the robotics. It's not a static program where you just sit at a desk, but you can use Chromebooks and you can use laptops, which will give a good experience, but definitely a push tablet as the preferred experience. So the summer holidays brought some experiences. Obviously, I was unable to go into teams and schools and work with people. So myself, my kids on the right-hand side, and a friend of mine's kids, we road tested this, and we got kids basically getting hands-on with the product, testing it out. And it really was fun. The boys loved it. My friends' kids had great feedback in terms of just something to focus on during the summer holidays. After a period of being out of school, it was good to turn their minds to something academic but also fun, and they had great fun smashing the balls into the wall, scoring goals, dribbling. It was just a different experience for them after so many months out of school. So here we have a school, an independent school out in Worcester, who've been running this for us. This is a school who are kind of STEM education leaders anyway. They do fantastic work in this field. However, their first impressions of this blew their mind, from the head teacher through to the head of computing. Said this has revolutionized the way they use our products. Sphero products are fantastic to get kids interested in learning and playing and coding. But the sport gave it a real narrow lens of how to apply this now in terms of making passes, scoring goals. And the kids absolutely loved it. It's enhancing their skill development quickly because they're starting to apply some of the activities and apply some of that knowledge, but then they're reflecting. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, one of the iPads is a reflection journal that the teacher created, where kids are being asked questions and they're recording their answers on the iPad. So they were constantly reflecting on what they've learned and how they can improve, which from an education point of view, is exactly what we want to do with young people. Here again, you can use the iPad, you can use the camera. So students here, where they're marking out their activities, so it might have been a dribble exercise. So rather than just going for a free dribble, students spend some time actually working out some of the maths behind this and working out some of the angles and discuss this, and then they can mark up on the iPad. Again, the iPad gives a great experience for young people to just try and play with this, work it out, and apply some logic behind this. So actually, when they do push the go button, their code actually makes sense. And by filming it, they can see where potentially they went wrong, which enables them to go back, work on their code, and become more confident at applying the code they're trying to achieve with the activity. So yeah, a really good example with this school, and they're a fantastic partner to work with. So I'm really proud to say that so far we have some clubs coming on board. We're really excited to work with the Aston Villa Foundation, Everton in the Community, and the Foundation of Light at Sunderland. These guys, even though the world's in a strange place and we still can't get into schools as much as you'd like, have seen that actually the world will go back to some level of normality, and they will be able to engage kids again, whether it be at their stadiums, their learning centres, or in schools. And I'm really proud to be working with these guys. They're going to start to deliver programs as part of their core offering. So some are looking at how they can use this with Premier League primary stars to bring the maths component to life and use robotics as a maths tool to just give the kids a different experience. Some are looking to build their own STEM standalone program, which is just going to be STEM and the club. And we're really excited to be working with Everton on an interesting opportunity at the turn of the year where we really want to create a fantastic network for schools in Merseyside between Sphero and Everton in the community. The Foundation of Light obviously have a fantastic facility up at the Beacon of Light, and again we'll start to bring students in and deliver this program, maybe engage some of their CSR partners. And Aston Villa have actually granted funding by a local charity called Millennium Point, who work in tech, I think, innovation and creativity, and they were successful in their bid and actually got the funding to buy Sphero Sports. So actually, there's different ways you can run this. There's different ways you can fund this. As a network, we want to help you either now move forward and get hands-on with the equipment so we can get you started, or continue to work as a network with the EFDN to try and find some funding streams to help make that investment with the kit a bit easier. So nearly coming to the end, just some interesting social. Aston Villa have been really great at getting their content out there. So we've had some training, as the tweet on the left says. We did the learning with myself and our head of education, Darren. And again, there must have been 15 people on that call, and we worked with them on their understanding of our products, understanding of STEM education. And they've really hit the ground running in terms of just developing their own staff at the moment, because they can't get into schools as of yet because of COVID, but they're starting to upskill their staff, build their confidence, which I think is a really right move to do. The middle tweet's a really nice video. If you look at the Aston Villa Foundation, it's just a fun teaser, but you get to see the potential of the robots and the mat, and it's a really cool video to check out. And on the right here, Paul Hughes, their manager, is talking about how they got the funding from Millennium Point and the importance of this program to the foundation. And again, here, this is from our schools program. So I mentioned the Grange over in Worcester, but as well as Edinburgh Academy we're working with. These students have jumped in two-footed, for a football phrase, and really got stuck into this program. I think they've really enjoyed a different way to view coding and Sphero, because sport has given it that real focus. I've had some great feedback and phone calls with the guys at these schools talking about the engagement in class and the fun, but the fact they want to come back and do more. That's surely the answer of education. We want kids engaged, they want to keep learning, they want to get on the robots, and they want to enjoy their experiences. So as you can see here, here's the code map. Just, we are working with football and EFDN as a football program, but we're also proud to be working in other sports. We are working with Harlequins Foundation. So like all you guys on the call will do amazing work in your foundation, in your community, but these guys are driving it through rugby. And we're really proud to be working with the Harlequins Foundation. And we're excited to see how all of a sudden Sphero Sports, as a rugby version, will engage kids in coding. But the activities of rugby are similar to football in the fact they're getting kids involved in a sport they know and love, and developing young people to kind of be like coaches, but robotics coaches. So they're understanding how to play the game of rugby, but they're learning through an iPad and a robot. We also work closely with teams across the US, and as you can see, there's a variety of sports here, from hockey and American football through to basketball and baseball. We're having some really positive conversations in North America about how we can work with teams from all the major sports, as well as some of the leagues. And we're really excited to move this forward in North America. But obviously, it's not particularly relevant to EFDN, but just to show you as an organization the things we're trying to achieve here. So really, I hope that answered everything. As you can see here, learning is not a spectator sport. Let's play. I think that's the key here. We want young people to get hands-on with the products, hands-on with STEM education, and to become motivated and excited to pursue this. I think from a team's perspective and the foundation's perspective, this will give your organization a real unique opportunity to become a leader in your region or your country. STEM is still not a subject that is really addressed well across the world through sports. There's a handful of leaders, and I would put Chelsea Foundation right up there at the very top. Feyenoord are doing an amazing job and have focused their attention primarily, I believe, on STEM. We have the 49ers over in North America who are doing some amazing work based out of Silicon Valley, and a number of teams across Europe and even in rugby league I'm speaking to now. But I think football has the greatest platform. It has the biggest audience, and you guys have the greatest opportunity now to get kids excited around STEM education. That will yield results in terms of fan base and loyalty and probably attention from your partners, because this is something different. This is not the average community program. I feel this is something that you can take to partners to help fund, to get them involved, and to create something that's really impactful for kids in 2021. Children have been through a horrific time this year for education. I think it's time we can stand up and give back and give kids the learning experiences they deserve, because it's been a year from hell. So hopefully, as together, football, EFDN, and Sphero can help kids inspire the creators of tomorrow and give them a better future. If you want to reach out, I'm sorry I couldn't get to any questions, please hit me up on the platform in the chat or drop me an email and I'll be happy to answer any questions and continue the conversation. If not, see you tomorrow on the roundtable.